Story 1. Girlfriend, 24 female, invited her former friends with benefits, 20s male, over to her dorm room, and I, 23 male, want to break up with her. Should I go through with it? My girlfriend and I started dating 3 months ago, and we became exclusive/official 1 month ago. She kept seeing her F-buddy for 1.5 months before breaking up with him, meaning she had intercourse with me and him on different nights. She did not tell me about him, and when I asked about former partners, she told me she had never had a boyfriend before. Yesterday, she was at my place and we talked about what we had been doing throughout the week, and she mentioned that her ex-boyfriend had visited her at her dorm room. I was curious since she never mentioned that she had an ex, and I asked who he was. She told me he was more like former friends with benefits. I just asked when she stopped and started seeing him, and she told me she stopped effing with him when she fell in love with me. I asked specifically when that was, and she would not give me a straight answer until she said after 1.5 months of us dating. She had intercourse with this guy 1.5 months ago, and then she visited him at her dorm room. I asked why she invited him over there, and she said it was to catch up with him. She also told me it was very difficult for her to stop that relationship, which made me feel even weirder. That's a lot of stuff that you're not being told, and while I'm A-okay with friends with benefits, and you weren't exclusive at first, so that feels like something that you should be talking about. Like, if you're, have someone, you're not exclusive and you've been on one date, that's one thing, but after like a month of going on dates and you still haven't mentioned things and you're having trouble letting that go, I feel like there can be some gray area for some folks in there, sure, but that's gotta be crossing a line at that point, right? I don't like it. No, I feel like you're not getting a lot of good open communication, and relationship might not have to end, but some serious conversations may need to happen. Otherwise, her visiting and talking with an ex, that shouldn't really be a huge issue, I don't think, as long as you're trusting in a relationship, which, if it's a healthy one, you should be. But if you can't trust her, maybe you need to examine why. Story 2. Today I effed up by taking my mum to see Barbie. My mum is in her 70s and understandably has been through a lot of crap in her lifetime. She's been the first female ex in her workplace several times and has admitted her obsession with my appearance is because she's experienced a lot of comments regarding her looks and what was appropriate for a woman throughout her life. We both wanted to see the movie and both had an idea about the subject matter, but she wouldn't have gone if I hadn't suggested it. We saw it this morning, and let me tell you, I was not expecting to cry that much. Also, shout out to the guy sitting next to me who was crying into his girlfriend's shoulder. Ever since we got out, my mom has not stopped crying. She's also admitted a few things since that she never told me before. Apparently, there have been 2 occasions where she was forced to leave her job because her husband started working there. I didn't know that was a thing. What the hell? And this was in the 80s. She was assaulted by a, thankfully now retired politician she worked with and couldn't say anything. She was forced out of a job because her boss's wife was jealous of her. She literally calls this guy her second father, but somehow she was a threat? And my father apparently repeatedly telling her she should be grateful for the things he's done for her, like buying a family house when he forced us to move to the other side of the world without consulting her, a house which was sold for less than market value in the divorce, and supporting her when she didn't have a job as a result of said move to the other side of the world where she didn't have permission to work. She's already been a bit, shall we say, somber recently due to her fear of aging, but she seems to have spent the last few hours doing nothing but going over her mistakes and regrets, and I don't know how to help her. Okay, first off, folks, see the Barbie movie. Some of the stuff is a little heavy-handed, and I think it has a few too many scenes that drag on a little bit too long, but overall, it was a very enjoyable movie, and I had a lot of fun with it. As far as your mom dealing with that stuff, I don't think it's an F-up. I think it's just processing and dealing with stuff that she maybe needs to process and deal with. And you can be there for her and support her and just let her know that it's not her mistakes, but it might feel kind of good. Like sometimes when you don't know that you've been holding in emotions for a really long time and you finally just have a good cry or a scream or something and you let it out and it doesn't feel good at that moment, but afterwards you're like, oh my God, that's so much better. Or like that might be what your mom's going through, and I think that's a positive thing. It sucks for everything that she had to deal with and was dredged up, but if that stuff was dredged up by a movie like that, then it also means it's probably been in the back of her mind affecting her. So I hope that it is a positive thing, and she might need someone trustworthy to talk to you. It might be you, might be a friend, might be a professional, I don't know. But I hope that in the end, it's all for the better. Story 3. Friend is mad because my husband complimented her? A good friend of mine broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years after she discovered he was cheating. She had recently decided to get back into dating, but she wanted the first date to be a double date for her own comfort. Her date was completely on board, and they invited my husband and I. We met at a restaurant. My husband and I arrived first, and my friend showed up soon after. Before her date arrived, my husband made a comment to her. "That dress looks elegant, on you. The color is unique." Here's the thing about my husband and his family. They give compliments. It's never intimate or over the top, but they all will occasionally give nice comments to people they know and trust, regardless of gender, and they do it sensibly, in my opinion. And it's not always about appearances. It's one of the things that attracts me to him. The dinner went well, we thought. My friend's date seemed to hit it off with her, but the next day, my friend texted me this. "You need to tell blank to stop making comments about other women. That's how affairs start." I told her I disagreed. She responded, "As someone who was cheated on, trust me, I know. I can't believe you're okay with blank looking at my dress. I was peed off at you." I told her that if she's uncomfortable with him complimenting her, then she can tell him herself and that he'll respect her boundary and wishes. She replied with, "Don't come crying to me when you catch him with another woman. Red flags." I'm at a complete loss for how to approach this. So, I've seen this online and in person before, but there are times where when someone is cheated on, that basically to them, anyone out there, it's like if it was, a woman who was cheated on by a man, all men are cheaters. Any little thing they do, they're a cheater. Or guys who had a woman cheat on them, and then it's like, can't trust any women. No, don't trust any women. They're all cheaters. And this is coming from trauma. This is a trauma reaction because these people were cheated on. It devastated them. They lost a relationship and they're trying to get back, but they're hyper defensive, but also projecting in a way that's not really okay. And that's not a good thing to do. Like this person said, hey, if you're uncomfortable with that, tell him and he'll respect your boundaries. And she's still like, folks, not everyone cheats, okay? And I know if you've been cheated on, it sucks and hurts so bad, and you feel like the whole world is just full of scum. There are decent human beings out there, so try not to start pointing out your friends and being like, and you're a cheater and you're gonna get cheated on and everything. Cheaters as far as the eye can see. Story 4. Am I the a-hole for labeling all the bottles in the house because my adult children are idiots? I have 2 of my children living with me. One has graduated from college and the other is a junior. I have to purchase medicated shampoo because of a scalp condition. It is by prescription and it is expensive. It also comes in packaging that's meant to be stored upright, not on its side and definitely not upside down. My daughter has her hair products in the shower and I do not touch them. My son also keeps his Axe body wash, shampoo, conditioner, woman repellent in the shower. I also do not touch it since I have zero desire to smell like a high school locker room. I keep my shampoo in there as well since it is my house and I can keep my crap wherever I want. For some reason, the 2 of them cannot understand that not all packaging is meant to be upside down. They have already wasted an entire bottle of my shampoo by storing it upside down after they touched it for some reason. It all dripped out of the spout, which is not engineered for that. I talked to both of them and I explained that they should not touch my stuff and that if they accidentally tip over my shampoo, it was meant to be stored with the lid at the top. I came home last week to find my shampoo leaking out of the bottle again, upside down. I ordered 500 stickers that say this side up with an arrow pointing upwards when the words are upright, and I put them on everything in the house that might leak, with my shampoo being literally covered in them. They had their friends over last weekend and they noticed that the relish, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, etc. were all labeled. My kids were embarrassed when they explained why. They think I'm an a-hole for putting labels on everything since they only F with my shampoo. Since it is $80 a bottle, I said I would take off all the labels if they agree to pay for my shampoo. Thus far, they have declined. I would say that they're not idiots. Like, that's harsh language, but they are extremely inconsiderate. And yeah, no, this punishment to them does not seem that over the top because they did it twice. And at $80 a bottle, I think you have reason to be a bit upset about it. So, yeah, no, you're not an a-hole. And I mean, I frankly, before buying the stickers, would have been like, well, you cost me $80, so I'd like you to pay that back. That would have been my very first response. Like, no, you're not going to waste $80 on me. Also, though, however, you should store your mustard containers upside down. I think that's just all for the better. No one wants to have to deal with twisting and shade and all that stuff. That's just a little advice from your pal, Mr. Facts. Bah, bah. Story 5. Same punishment for being 5 minutes late as being 3 hours late? Sure, no problem. So I'm working for a low-level corporation, about 450 employees. I've been there for 5 years and have risen to the top of my department's productivity levels. I mention this as it does pertain to the story. Management had a policy that latecomers would be penalized, but that lateness could be excused under some circumstances. I was good at my job, and I actually loved doing it, so I was more or less a dream employee. I always showed up to work 20 to 30 minutes early because I like to sit in the lunchroom and prepare for my day. Management knew I was almost always early, so if I was late from time to time, and such instances were rare, they let it slide as there was always a valid reason. Now, for other employees, this latitude wasn't applied. Chronically late employees would get written up and not have their constant lateness excused. They'd complain, of course, but management was firm. They ran an actual meritocracy where more productive employees would experience preferential treatment. Then the business gets sold and we get new management. An internal core only interested in buying us up, stripping us down, and selling off the company. Of course, they denied this constantly, but the fact that over the next 2 years they stripped us down and sold off the company proved they were lying. New management comes in and has to make a bunch of idiotic changes. One of those changes is that no reason for being late are accepted regardless of validity. Anyone 5+ minutes late for work would be written up. So at the team meeting where this was explained, I asked, so if someone's 5 minutes late and someone else is 3 hours late, the punishment is the same? And they said yes. From that day on, I stopped coming in early. I'd still head to work at my usual time, but I sat in a local coffee shop instead of my work's lunchroom. This meant that my work missed out because in the past I would often help out by answering questions, even start work early if needed, because I loved my job and the old management were wonderful bosses. No more of that under new management. In fact, if something happened like unexpectedly bad traffic and I was going to end up being a few minutes late, I'd just say, F it. If being 3 hours late is the same punishment as 5 minutes late, I'd just decide to come in later. I'd call work to tell them I was delayed, then go out and have a leisurely meal in a restaurant or run some personal errands, go shopping, even see a movie, etc. Depending on my mood and how crappy the new management had been lately, what would have been, say, a 7-minute lateness on my part would end up seeing me roll in 3 hours late. Sure, it cost me a few bucks, but I made almost as much in bonuses than I did in hourly salary, so missing out on a few hours here and there didn't bother me too much. I'd come in 3 or 4 hours late and my new bosses would be fuming. Nothing they could do, though, but write me up for the basic tardy, same as they would have if I was 5 minutes late. I mean, I would say that, I don't understand, bosses and owners and stuff who have this just hyper strict, just prison rules mentality about how work works, and if you're even a little wrong, then I'll destroy you. You're not going to produce anything good. You're going to drive employees off. Your work is going to suffer. It's just an idiotic way to run a business. It's bad. If I see managers who do that stuff, my immediate thought is, you're not very bright and you're kind of a bad person. Wow. I don't know how you got this position, except for probably, nepotism and lying. But in this case, it does kind of make sense, and since they were stripping down the business and selling it off, they probably wanted to run off some employees and whatnot, so, I guess, this is maybe the one instance where I can understand why bosses would be this way. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.